demonstration here. We're gonna go into the back of the car. So we got a whole bunch of stuff back here, our whole gym set up here. We're gonna go ahead and keep all these just always on deck. But it's just got that fucking that flavor that I like. Um, but again, referencing yesterday's performance drink, right? So if you go to the gym, don't just start crushing Red Bull and crushing Monsters or crushing a NOS. Those will give you caffeine and energy, right? We call it like not lubricated. That's awesome. We call it uh, fucking fabricated energy, not lubricated energy. Lubricated energy might take you somewhere else. Um, but yeah. Anyways, just make sure that you're not just drinking. I mean, honestly, like a Red Bull's not like a horrible idea. Like if you're simply just low in energy, you need like a pick me up. But if you're gonna go to the gym, have a performance drink, right? Have something like a Bang or Rain. My go-to right now is, or for the last year and a half, 2 years, has been no, honestly, the last probably 2 years has been Ghost Energy, specifically the face pop flavor. Make sure my volume's on. There we go. In case anybody calls me an emergency. Um, that's just me and my husband era. You always gotta have the phone on, man. I'm such a paranoid person. Not like that something's gonna go wrong, but if something does go wrong and I'm not available, like I think you couldn't live with yourself. If something was preventable, you could have saved it. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway, performance beverage before your gym, ideally 30 minutes prior to the lift. And I'm always pointing here like you guys are sitting in front of me and I'm scolding you, as it were. But if you guys remember last year, I'd always talk about that. Give yourself about 30 minutes. If you go look on, I mean, I know a lot of people can say, oh, this billionaire dude on freaking Shark Tank. What's his name? You guys know the guy I'm talking about. But he said one of the most patriotic things you can do is pay taxes, and I agree. But like states, like especially California and Ohio and a lot of other states, I would be like, I wouldn't mind paying the taxes. Like obviously, I don't want to pay taxes. Like I would love to keep, especially when you start getting higher tax brackets. If you're making $1 million a year and you got to write a check for fucking 400,000 to the IRS, that just is a punch to the dick. But and obviously that's like relative and weighted. But um, like I wouldn't mind. Like I would enjoy paying taxes if like our schools were rock solid, security was rock solid. We didn't have like retired cops as our school guidance counselors and school freaking officers. We had like people who were ready to go to rock and roll. You know, the roads were good. There was no bumps. The signs, highways, stuff like. I would enjoy paying taxes if everything was taken care of. But obviously, when you have different political parties running different states, um, funding and budgeting is all over the place. So you don't know what you're gonna get. But that's neither here nor there because neither way, whether it be bad roads or good roads, these arms are gonna get at least 15, upwards of 20% bigger uh, here in the next probably 35 minutes. They're gonna start that process. Um, but if you guys remember last year, I'd always talk about having oh yeah, so what I was saying was, I know people, you might not be all political this, political that, don't believe this, don't read that, don't watch this new channel, watch that. Who gives a shit? At the end of the day, you guys can go read about the FDA and stuff, and they post like, pretty legitimate stuff. You can go fact check it through other means, but um, like, so typically about 400 milligrams of caffeine per day so for the average American, the average adult American, the FDA says, and again, let's take them for what that is. The average American So a grown adult, man or woman, can have about 400 milligrams of caffeine per day, and that generally is associated with no negative side effects. So I'm taking a turn here, so I got to hold you guys again. But that was kind of the FDA's guideline is 400 mgs, we'll say milligrams, mgs, 400 mgs a day, 400 milligrams a day of caffeine. That's generally it's a pretty fair, acceptable number to have. Now, do you want to have, even though that may be true, and for me it's held to be true. Do you want to have 400 milligrams of caffeine every day, 7 days a week for 35 years? Probably not, right? So you might want to, have times where you kind of cycle on and off it. I know the word cycle is, a touchy subject in the bodybuilding world, or in the diet. Honestly, it just in the working out, health and fitness community in general, health and fitness industry, cycle is because now you got girls and every other medication that they can, um, which is fine, obviously, but the word cycle can kind of get a little thrown around loosely. But let's turn this down to 5. I put to 7 to be really loud. Oops, turn it down. But the mic's here, so I don't think it's going to affect you guys at all. It won't bother you. If it does, somebody comment below, even though not many people are going to watch this. I swear to God, when I mean this, or when I say this, I mean this wholeheartedly. I make these videos for me. Like, I'm not expecting, nor anticipating, nor do I have any inclination that these are, like, my TikTok is, like, my only social media that's, like, that I have, like, a lot of followers on. I have, like, 13 or 14,000 followers on TikTok and 300,000 likes and millions of views. Um, but like that happened just on accident, I guess. But then I started posting intentionally, and then it kept blowing up. But I have no intentions of like I make these videos for me because I like documenting my progress. And it's fun put on YouTube. It's like you get that credit. I don't know. It's just fun. I like it. It's cool. Um, and people say, "Oh man, no one gives a fuck about what." I don't care. I'm not posting these videos saying disclaimer to in order to watch this video you have to give a fuck. Like that's not what's happening. There's no little asterisk in the bottom of my video saying in order to watch this video from start to finish you have to give a fuck about me and what I'm doing. Like that's not it. There's tons of people on here I don't give a fuck about what they're doing, but that's just simply because there's 8 billion people in the world. You can't give a fuck about everybody. I care about everybody. I care for people's general well-being, but let's just continue on here. Oh man, we're gonna hit another red light. Yesterday's clips kept getting cut short, or not kept, it got cut short because recorded the whole way to the gym. Then about 5 minutes into my recording on the way back, back yesterday, it was back in rear delts. By the way, I'm so fatigued. What really, really burnt out the back was I did this finisher, a superset. It was 3 sets I did at the end. I supersetted rope face pulls, which I typically don't do. I'll do a lot of bent over dumbbell flies seated for rear delts, and I'll do some like dumbbell rows or even barbell rows, but pull up really high, like my neck, upper, like my collarbone area to really try to engage the rear delts, or even some single-handed crossover, rear cable flies. But what really finished off my move yesterday, burned out my rear delts and back yesterday, was I did face pulls with a rope, and then I supersetted that with straight arm cable pull downs. So not pull downs like straight arm pull downs, not like pull downs like lat pull downs. It's like this isn't like a beginner movement. This is like you really have to have pretty good back development and good mind muscle connection for this to really kind of get felt. But it's where your arms straight in front of you, you're pulling down and you're using your lats, kind of like a dumbbell pullover, but with a cable. I love that movement. Straight bar, easy curl bar, whatever it may be. There's a guy back there that's like riding my ass. If I go too fast, y'all are gonna fucking fly to the back of the car. But I had to let him know the 5-liter V8 supercharged, uh, temperamental Italian guy in the car in front of him is not meant to be ridden behind bumper to bumper. If you guys get what I'm saying, I'll drop this thing to third gear and I'll be out of here. But anyways, just a little bit of antics for you guys amidst this car talk. So anyways, I supersetted face pulls. Supersets are like, they're notorious for being finishers. People think, okay, I got a little bit of gas left. let me finish off with a superset. Okay, I'm hitting chest today. I'm gonna do, an incline hammer strength press supersetted with pec deck, and I'm gonna just burn out lightweight as much reps as I can get. Right, AMRAP we call it, AMRAP, as many reps as possible. Um, but yeah, so that's what a lot of people do. But like honestly, there's something to be said. I've done this before to like kind of switch it up. There's something to be said about doing a superset like intro workout or like even in the beginning. So like I'm gonna start off like just to switch it up. I wouldn't recommend doing that every time because you will really pre-exhaust that muscle and get so fatigued that you might not have the endurance to get like the volume that you need, or you might start to slack. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like the whole David Late thing of like, you know, stop your sets halfway. Your first 5 working sets, just kind of go until you're, okay, that felt pretty good, and then drop it. There's a video he did with C-Bum. He's working out with him, and he like stopped after like 6 reps or 7 reps and dropped the weight or whatever, however many reps he did is irrelevant. But he's like, like did just a super light set, and he's like, and C-Bum was like, Chris Bumstead, who's Mr. Olympia, he's like, why'd you stop? He's like, well, we got a whole bunch more to do. He's like, that's not how working out works. How do you expect to grow if you don't take anything close to failure or to failure, you know? But that same token goes on the flip side. If you go in there and just take one set to like excruciating, ridiculous volume, and you do one set of incline dumbbell press, one set of 85 reps to the point of like, you're just like, oh my gosh, that was the hardest set ever. That's really not that much volume, right? It's just one set. And a word that you guys got to keep in your repertoire or in your vocabulary, um, or at least relevant in your mind when training, is TUT, right? That's an acronym for time under tension. You need to adequately fatigue the muscle while still making sure you have appropriate time under tension, right? So that muscle needs to be, so let's just say your pecs or your quads, don't go in there and do one set of leg extensions, you know, to such failure that you literally your legs shaking after one set, because although yes, you took that set to failure, the time under tension may have been what, 40 seconds, a minute. So just keep that in mind too. It's probably one of the more beneficial tips I'll give, like in terms of like relevance to muscle growth, is yes, bring your sets as close to failure as you can, if not to failure. But keep in mind, like if you said I'm gonna do 2 sets in the beginning, like beyond failure, then you're never gonna get to a place where you're getting enough volume to stimulate growth, and it's just never gonna work, and you're not gonna have the time under tension to really. I'm telling you guys right now, as long as you're working out relatively consistently, if you go to the gym tomorrow and you grab 2 dumbbells, let's just say you go to the leg extension machine and you do 2 sets, like to beyond feel like you can't get a single other rep done, you, you're not going to be sore tomorrow, right? Because the most that you're not going to sit there and do 100 reps. Like maybe if you put on, 50 pounds on the leg extensions, you can do 100 reps. But if you do a weight that's, you could probably get, between 10 to 20 reps with, your first set you might get 23, 24 reps. Your second set you might get 15, 16 reps. And if you're just doing 2 sets to absolute failure to where your legs literally can't move it another inch, you're going to be pretty pumped for a sec, maybe not even pumped, a little fatigued, but you probably won't even break a sweat at that point after 2 sets. It's just not enough time. So you have to make sure that it's not just about going to failure. It's about pushing yourself close to failure, right? And then as you get more and more fatigued and you get the volume in, and you've been pushing yourself super hard each set almost to failure, giving yourself enough left that your last few sets that you do take to failure, you're not going to trade that off for lower volume. If that makes sense. So I'm being very clear when I say this. I'm not saying hold off early on in the workout because you want to go hard at the end. That's not what I'm saying. My first working set, I'm pretty much taking that to failure. But I have enough endurance and I train intensely enough and I'm rested and I'm stretched and I have hydration in my system and I got my performance and I'm locked in and I'm focused and I can take the pain, like in terms of triceps and stuff. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, shoot me with a gun, I'll walk it off. But you're burning my triceps with a set. I can take the pain is what I'm trying to say. and like I'm okay with being uncomfortable. But you just got to keep that in mind. So yeah, I mean that's pretty all I gotta say about that. That's a pretty like those last 2 minutes. If you kind of just clip that and keep that in the back of your mind when training, that you have to be cognizant to train hard, but also make sure that your time and attention you're training long enough, because training just 2 or 3 sets, like I said, you're just gonna see minimal growth. You need more. And I'm not saying just 2 or 3 sets, but like if you're going in there and just doing 4 or 5 working sets and calling it a day, that's just simply not enough volume to get any real substantial growth. I would say anywhere like where I'm at right now, everyone's kind of different, but it's gonna be in like the seven to 11, 7 to 10, 7 to 11 working sets. Um, I would say that like 8 to 10 working sets is like a pretty good median. But when I mean by what do you mean 8, 7 to 11 working sets? What the fuck does that mean? So let's say you're going in and you're training legs. You want to have about 8 to 10 working sets, meaning you're already stretched, you're warmed up. You've done maybe a 1 or 2 warm-up sets just to get your quads exposed to some weight, make sure your knees are warm and stuff. Your tendons aren't going to freaking tear, your ligaments aren't going to shatter. You put your first working weight on there, so maybe that's 200 pounds for leg extension. That first set, when you're like actually counting your reps and going hard, 8 to 10 of those for your quads is going to stimulate some pretty good growth. You're going to get pumped. You're going to feel fatigued. You're going to be sore the next day. You're going to tear the muscle down. Enough time under tension, enough volume to actually stimulate growth. So that's why I was kind of against push-pull legs, even though I've done it for so long. I'm against it for newer people, because if I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna go do push-pull legs, or sorry, a push-pull leg split on my push day, I have to do 8 to 10 working sets for chest, 8 to 10 working sets for shoulders, and 8 to 10 working sets for my triceps. That's just a ridiculous amount of volume, right? So we're talking like 30 sets, 24 to 30 sets. Let's just call it 25 sets, you know, in the gym. It's just going to take forever. And if you're doing, uh, let's just say, a set, it takes you a minute for the set and then 2 minutes of rest. That's 3 minutes per set, 30 sets. We're talking ridiculous. We're talking, what is it, 90 minutes just for the workout. That's not including like your warm up and your, talking an hour and a half, which is, that's not too bad, I guess. But, you just need to have your time management a little bit better. Um, you know what I mean? And obviously, you're not going to be, okay, a minute, okay, now I'm done. Okay, 2 minutes of rest, next set. All right, a minute, like you're going to probably take, you're walking between machines and you're getting water. You got to go to the bathroom. You got to stretch. You got to warm up. After the gym, maybe you wipe off with some machine stuff like that. So, you don't want to be in the gym for 2 hours just to hit a push day. And obviously, there's something to be said about the people who go to the gym and like just talk. Like, yeah, some people like going to the gym because they like having the social time, and that's pretty fun. But like, I go to the gym to train, right? So a lot of people at the gym know me, and they'll dap me up and say hi. Like, they won't like talk to me, but they'll say, "Hey, what's up, man?" Like, pound the fish, or "Hey, where's your partner at?" Meaning my wife. But you're not gonna catch me like in the hallway, in one of the rooms, or like in the fucking locker room or by a machine talking for 3 minutes. You're just not gonna see that, because I'm there to focus. If somebody talks to me after about 10, 15 seconds, I'll just have to, like, my body language will show that I'm ready to move on, right? I'm not going to be a dick, be like, hey, man, I got to work out. There's been times, my wife can tell you, there's been times that, last year, a lot of people would come to me, the younger people would come to me a lot. Um, and there was times I would say, hey, man, I don't lose the pump. I try to make it a joke. Hey, man, I can't lose the pump. Shoot me a number, shoot me a text later or something. Like, I'll say something like that, or hey, we'll catch up later. I don't want to lose the pump. Just to try to make him, like, not as mean. But, I'm there to train. Yeah, like, I want to be nice and dap people up and stuff, but like, I'm there to train at the end of the day. So, is it raining? I can never tell. I, I, I don't want it to rain because I just got my car detailed. I got it back yesterday morning, but I got my ceramic coating done on my window again, my front windshield, because I got it replaced. So, a part of me kind of wants it to rain so I can, um, you know, just make sure everything's all solid and locked and loaded there. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it really comes down to like how serious you are about training and how hard you're going to train and find what works for you. So getting into today's lift, we're about 20 minutes in. Um, I think I haven't looked at the camera a lot. So talking about today's lift, we're going to do arms. I mean, this isn't, you guys have seen me do arms, a fair amount of times at this point. Push downs, curls. Oh yeah, that's it. You got to think, not even being funny. Your arm extending from a contracted position, or I should say, your triceps extended, because again, they're opposite muscles. So when your arm's extending, your triceps engage, your bicep isn't. And when your arm is contracting or closing, your biceps engage, your tricep isn't. When your tricep is fully flexed and fully contracted, your tricep is fully stretched and fully relaxed. When your tricep is fully extended and fully flexed, your bicep is fully extended and fully relaxed, because they work obviously in opposites. So you have your pushing muscles and your pulling muscles, right? Um, Now obviously your forearms aren't going to work necessarily when you're pushing or pulling. In a pulling context, they're going to be engaged holding something, and in a pushing context, they're going to be there to stabilize. But to work your forearms directly, you're just curling, right? So you're like your inward forearm curls, and you're curling like that. You're basically just curling this way, or I mean, it's just the most simple movement ever. You just have to do it, kind of like calves. Your calf, you're just going from here to here to flex your calf. People just don't do it. Um, but anyways, so when it comes to training and stuff like that, your bicep and tricep, very very simple. Like like I think I said this before. If you want to build big arms, if you just did, if you twice a week for a year, you did 10 sets of tricep push downs and 10 sets of dumbbell curls or 10 sets of barbell curls. Let's just say you did 10 sets of dumbbell curls and 10 sets of tricep push downs twice a week for a year. You're gonna have big, strong arms. Like you're gonna get big arms. You're going to. Like there's no way around it. The reason people don't have big calves is because they're not training their calves 2-3 times a week. Well, your calves, you can train, your forearms and your calves and your traps, like you can train those muscles a little more often, because your calves are a high, they're a high frequency muscle, we'll call it, because you're walking, your calves are being used constantly. That's why typically people are like fat or big or overweight have like bigger calves, because they are literally carrying around more weight. So every step mimics, in a sense, a calf raise. When you're walking and so that's why you see like heavier people usually have like big legs, and obviously because they put on a lot of fat, but also walking around having to carry that weight on their calves. Now some of it obviously genetics. So to me, someone who has like genetically big calves is not going to be, somebody could have like, someone who is a really really hard gainer, had like this pencil legs growing up. Them building big calves, even if someone with naturally like big calves, like um, what's the word I'm thinking of? Genetically big calves were bigger than theirs. The person who like worked hard to build their calves, it'd be more impressive, because you just see that you know how much intensity and how much training, how much focus went into it. And someone who has to work really hard on building those calves, probably because they put so much time in the focus on the squeeze and contraction and squeezing really hard, they probably have more like defined calves, more like actual muscular calves. If I stood next to somebody, like I'm a pretty big dude, but if somebody had smaller arms than me, but because they're leaner, they're more cut up, you can see more of the muscle fibers twitching. It's gonna look cooler than when I'm bulked, right? So, or I'll just use myself as an example. My tricep right now just looks like a big horseshoe. You can see the definition, obviously, because I work out. But in 3 months from now, when I'm really diced up, it's gonna look really cool, and I'm gonna look bigger and more muscular, even to know I've lost 30, 40 pounds. Well, not yeah, 30 or 40 pounds. So um, losing that much weight, you really, really start to bring out like the striations and the fibers, and you kind of get to see all the cool shit that you worked on in the bulk when you get cut up, which is why it's hard, especially for me, switching into a cutting phase, because you're hungry. I'm hungry all the time, and I want to eat more and stuff like that. Um, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to, what do you want? Do you want to look lean and diced up? If you do, then you got to go through it. If you don't, we got that freaking blinding sun issue that we're, I guess you could call it, revisiting. Um, I'm getting actually pretty close. I did a pretty good job of drinking this consistently. Um, I did something a little different today. In the gas station, it was a Circle K. I don't like to call Circle K a gas station because I feel like 7-Eleven and Circle K's, yes, they are gas stations. Like, it's more of like a, I don't know, like Circle K is like, it's fun to go there to get energy drinks and, I don't know, it's like a different vibe. Like, I think of like Stop and Go as a gas station or like Get Go. I don't know, whatever. This guy next to him, let's have to cut him off. Everyone has to get over because this is like one of those lanes that this one only ends up turning left and all these people know it, so everyone's getting over. Anyways, yeah, so arms we're going to do. I think you guys remember my last arm day. Shoulders feeling pretty good. Like I told you guys, I took off chest yesterday, or 2 days ago. So Wednesday would have been my chest day because I do chest, back, arms, legs, and I'm taking off. So now I was taking off 4 chest days. Now I'm gonna take off 3 more chest days. So today's arms, tomorrow's legs, and then after that it would be. Um, so today's what? Friday's arms, Saturday's legs, or fuck. Yesterday chest, back, arms, legs. Yesterday was arms. Today is Friday. Oh my gosh. Yesterday was back. Man, I'm all over the place. Yesterday was back. Today is arms. Tomorrow's legs, and then Sunday would be chest, but I'm not gonna hit chest. So 3 more chest days that I'm gonna skip. I'm sure after like this second chest day skipping, I'm gonna get that itch. Like, oh my god, like I want to hit chest. But I'm just gonna stick to it. If I skipping 4 chest days is only taking off 2 weeks of chest. Because I'm on a technically an 8-day split. So when I say a week, I'm hitting every muscle group twice every 8 days technically. Um, if you guys remember, I used to be on the push pull legs for a long time. Then I switched to chest, back, arms, legs because push pull legs rest on my rest day. After I was hiding my diet coach and stuff, and I was getting more consistent with tracking my macros and dieting and water intake and and all these things. My nutrition was on point, my hydration, my rest, my stretching, my training, everything was on point, all my nutrition. So my rest days, I was never sore. I was always ready to go. So I don't think that doing push pull legs, push pull legs, push pull legs like back to back to back would have been good because then I would be hitting 3 push days a week. So Monday push, Thursday push, and then Sunday would be push. I'm hitting chest, shoulders, and triceps 3 times a week. That's just too much for me at least. Twice a week is good. So now that I do chest, back, arms, legs, chest, back, arm, legs, no rest days, so it's just 4 days, and then repeat it over itself. Of course, if I need to take a rest day, like actually need to take a rest day, the amount of people who take rest days but versus the amount of people that actually need to take them, that like it will be beneficial for them to rest and recover and have a day or two off for their joints to kind of recover is like sub 3%. Very, very few people out there are training hard enough that like a rest day and consistently enough that a rest day would actually benefit. But I'm not judging you. If you want to take a rest day just because you need a mental day off, then fucking do it. Honestly, even like mental rest days are needed. Sometimes you're just like super zapped throughout the day and then like you're gonna beat yourself up if you don't go to the gym. Sometimes, like very rarely I would say, but sometimes it is okay to be like, you know what? Let me take a rest day today. Let me just, chill at home, maybe go for like a 30-minute walk or something, make a nice little dinner. Well, the whole way here, I managed to not get you guys fucking flying over there. But we're gonna park over here today. I don't like parking by everybody else. I just like my car kind of away from everybody. But yeah, so we're gonna get in there. We are going to train. What we're gonna start off with. So I'm gonna go upstairs. I stretch. I do like crack my back, and I don't just go like this. Okay, I'm good to go. Like I'm grabbing the platform in front of me. I'm bending over at 45 degrees or 90 degrees. And I'm cracking like my upper back, like right here, kind of where your rhomboids and trap are, like your whole spinal column up here. I'm cracking my lower back. Make sure that my middle, like behind my sternum, is being cracked. Then I'm gonna stretch my back, my hamstrings, especially on back day. Make sure you like stretch your whole body every lift, but especially when you're training back, obviously on legs, make sure you're stretching your hamstrings, but especially for back, people underestimate how much work their hamstrings go into a back day. anytime that you're leaning forward or bending at all, or have any sort of, even if you're not leaning, but you have a weight pulling you forward, like if you're doing cable rows, your hamstrings engage because your hamstrings help you kind of stay vertical. Your lower back, your hips, your hamstrings. So yeah, we're gonna go in there, crack the back, stretch, warm up, do my shoulder mobility, which will be really important. Um, and then last arm day, I started off with biceps. Felt pretty cool. I'll probably do that again today. I'll start off with some seated alternating dumbbell curls. I like to do seated. I'll do seated or standing. If I'm going like super heavy, like if I'm gonna just try to really throw some nasty weight around in the beginning of the workout, because like those first 2 or 3 sets, I don't mind to go really heavy and have like a little, not like so much swing, but because I'm always doing full range of motion. Like my dumbbells, no matter if I have a little swing or not, I'm not one of the people who are going like, like my arm is fully extending on the way down, and I might have a little swing to help, but I'm getting it all the way up to where the dumbbell's like resting. My arm's at a 45-degree angle, as close as I can get it to my shoulder. So I'm doing full range of motion, but like I don't mind in the beginning to get a little loose with the form. Of course, not to the point of hurting myself, but when you sit down, you take any sort of like momentum or swing out of the equation and put a lot more emphasis on the bicep. And then furthermore, when you lean back and your arms are at a dead hang, you're no swing at all and you're leaning back, your biceps are in a much more naturally stretched position. So not like leaning back like all the way, but like if you're sit up right here, like you have a seat, seated bench at your gym, put it back just one or even just 2 notches, like just ever so slightly, and then put your back to it, grab the dumbbells, let them hang kind of behind your plane of your body almost, and you'll feel that you're not going to be able to go as heavy, but it's just going to be all bicep, complete stretch. You take your front delts, everything out of the equation. So I'll probably start off with 3 or 4 sets of dumbbells seated. Um, then I might just stay on that bench and then just do some overhead dumbbell extensions, 2 or 3 sets, go over to cables, and then probably finish out on cables. Nothing, honestly, really nothing crazy. I'll probably do 3 or 4 sets of seated dumbbell, 3 or 4 sets of overhead dumbbell, and then 3 or 4 sets barbell curl, 3 or 4 sets tricep extensions, and then maybe like one superset at the end. But we're talking 8, 9 sets for bis and tris, and then we'll be out of there. So yeah, 32 minutes in. I'm not sure if I'll catch you guys afterwards or not. This might be the last clip. Just know that regardless of whether there's a next clip or not, we're about to do some destruction to these arms. I know this kind of looks like a little more of a puppy, but yeah, we're about 6 pounds down this week. Obviously, a lot of that's water weight. I'm not losing 6 pounds in 6 days of fat. All right, guys.